Imagine an enemy you cannot see, one that makes no sound and kills you from the inside. War has always been brutal. Swords, arrows, guns, or missiles, these are weapons that destroy the human body. But imagine an enemy you cannot see, one that makes no sound, one that kills you from the inside without ever touching you. Today, we are talking about chemical weapons, weapons that turned human breath itself into a method of execution. This is not just the story of a weapon, this is the story of the dark side of science and the extreme cruelty human beings are capable of. Chemical warfare is not a modern invention. Long before the Industrial Revolution, humans were already using poison as a weapon of war. Ancient Greece, around 400 BC during the Peloponnesian War, sulfur and charcoal were burned together to produce toxic fumes, forcing enemies out of fortified positions. Ancient India and China. Historical texts describe poisoning enemy wells and using toxic smoke to suffocate opposing forces. Biological methods. During the Middle Ages, dead animals infected with disease were thrown into castles to spread plagues. But all of this was primitive. True devastation began when chemistry became modern science. April 22, 1915. The battlefield of Ypres, Belgium. World War I was raging. Allied soldiers sat inside their trenches when an unusual yellow-green cloud began drifting toward them from the German lines. At first, they thought it was a smokescreen. Then the cloud reached the trenches and everything changed. Chlorine gas, the world's first large-scale chemical attack. When chlorine enters the lungs, it reacts with moisture to form hydrochloric acid. The result? Soldiers began drowning in their own bodily fluids. Their lungs burned. Panic spread. Men who never feared bullets fled from an invisible death. Chemical warfare had officially entered modern war. Once the door to chemical warfare was opened, it could not be closed. Both sides began developing even more lethal gases. Phosgene gas, 6 times deadlier than chlorine. It did not kill immediately. Soldiers often felt fine, only to die 24 hours later as their lungs collapsed. Mustard gas, known as the king of battle gases. It burned skin, caused massive blisters, penetrated clothing, damaged eyes, and remained active in soil for weeks. By the end of the war, over 1.2 million people had been affected by chemical weapons. And that was only the beginning. During World War II, chemical weapons were rarely used on battlefields. Not because they were forgotten, but because both sides feared retaliation. This strategy was called deterrence. However, the most horrifying use of chemicals did not happen on the battlefield. It happened inside concentration camps. Nazi Germany used Zyklon B, originally an insecticide, to murder millions of innocent people in gas chambers. This was not warfare. This was industrialized mass murder. If you believe chemical warfare belongs to the past, the next chapter will change your mind. After World War II, science did not slow down. The Cold War began, and with it came a new category of weapons, nerve agents. Sarin, a liquid that evaporates into the air. It shuts down the nervous system, causes loss of muscle control, paralysis, and eventually stops the heart and lungs. VX gas, the deadliest chemical weapon ever created. A drop the size of a pinhead is enough to kill a human being. Let that sink in. This level of destruction was created deliberately. The United States and the Soviet Union stockpiled enough chemical weapons to wipe out humanity multiple times. This is not a story from textbooks. This is happening in our lifetime. In 1993, the Chemical Weapons Convention officially banned chemical weapons worldwide. But bans did not stop reality. Halabja, 1988. Saddam Hussein used chemical weapons against Kurdish civilians. Around 5,000 people died within minutes. Photos show victims frozen mid-movement, parents holding children as they collapsed. Syria, 2013. A sarin gas attack in Ghouta killed civilians, many of them children, with no visible injuries, only the inability to breathe. Chemical weapons were supposed to be history. They were not. Destroying chemical weapons is extremely difficult. They cannot simply be burned because the smoke is toxic. They cannot be dumped into the ocean. They require expensive processes like incineration and chemical neutralization. In 2023, the United States officially destroyed its last declared chemical weapons stockpile after 30 years and billions of dollars. Chemical weapons are often called the poor man's atomic bomb. They're cheap, but their impact is psychologically devastating. Humanity created nuclear bombs and missiles, but chemical weapons reveal something darker, a willingness to turn the very air we breathe into poison. The most terrifying weapons in history were not the ones we could see, but the ones we were forced to breathe. The next time you take a deep breath, remember, breathing is a gift, and history is filled with people whose breath was taken from them by an enemy they could not see without a single bullet being fired.